Now it's time for Perform Like a Pro.
So today we're going to talk about two different common types of pipe that we see in our houses that are really susceptible to freezing. First off is this yellow PVC called CPVC. This stuff is a little bit different than that white sprinkler pipe. This is rated for inside your house. And of course the other one, there's our common copper pipes that we see out there that a lot of homes have that were built after the 50s and 60s around here. So let's talk about how we're going to fix those today. First off, I think there's some things that you should have in your toolbox that are pretty easy to be able to, well, repair these in a pinch. But then again, these are not a final repair. They're good to keep around just in case, so at least you can get water running and then you can fix it right. And that are these push to connect fittings. These work really well for temporary fixes. These not so much to have around. What I like are these caps. These things work so well because all I have to do is take it, put it on a clean piece of pipe, push it on, and it's on there, and it'll hold pressure. So I can turn off an area. You know, if it's broken, I can cap it off and at least run the water in the rest of the house. And if you buy the little tool like this, you can go through and remove it here. I'll show you how to do that. And it comes right back off, so you can repair it right the next time. Now, a lot of times with new pipe, I will use these pipe cutters right here, and I can cut this to length and do what I want with it, because this is brand new pipe. The problem is if we're actually going to do this on the old pipe that's in your house, it could be really brittle. That could fracture, so we want to do that. So that's where we're going to get a hacksaw, multi-tool, or whatever, and cut it with this, and just hold it nice and tight and get a very clean edge. So this stuff here is the OD. It's all in one, so it's primer and glue. Always check your local building code to make sure. Sometimes they want to see that purple primer. It's depending on what you're doing. So I'm going to do this on this side. I'm going to glue this up. You just want to make sure there's no cracks and it's all put together. And then I'm going to push that in all the way there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. You want to get lots of glue in here because this stuff is actually going to melt and bond this together. All right, guys, my recommendation is if you're going to be replumbing part of this, it's not a bad idea to get completely away from that CPVC and go over to something like PEX. But again, I don't want to use one of these push to connect fittings, so your best bet is to glue a fitting on right onto the end of this here. So then we can go into a thread and then thread onto your new kind of pipe and go from there. That's going to give you the most reliable fitting by doing it that way, and it's going to prevent leaks down the road until you end up doing a replumb. At that point, you can just take the PEX and continue back. It's a good way to repair this kind of pipe and give you something much more reliable. But today, I'm going to show you the right way to fix it by using the torch. And this is something that's really DIY friendly. So the first thing you want to do with this is take our bad end right here and cut it back so we have good material to work with. Because otherwise, if it's out of shape or it's distorted, those fittings aren't going to fit right. So let me take this out of here just so I can show you a better way to cut it. So you want to make sure and get a pipe cutter like this. And then we're going to back this out. And sometimes they make these in different sizes, so if you're really tight in up against a stud or wood, that can be pretty tough. So there's different ways to do this, but you want to have a super clean cut for this to work. So I'm going to come in here, got it snug up, and you're just going to do a couple turns. As soon as it loosens up, give it a quarter turn. We're just going to keep doing this. And then as soon as we get there, it's going to pop off and we'll have a nice clean cut, just like that. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take this little back piece right here and just kind of ream the inside of this and take it where it deformed that, so we have a nice little clean edge right there. And then if you have either emery cloth or sandpaper or one of the cool little tools here that you can clean this with, we're going to get this super clean. So I want this to look like brand new copper. And that's how we're going to make sure no contaminants are in here so we can sweat a good joint on this. So this is where you just take the time, get it knocked out. It'll look really good when you're done. All right, now that we got that cleaned up, we're going to start with our flux. Now this stuff is made for plumbing, so get some good stuff. Spend $1 or $2 extra, get the nice stuff. If you get the more pro stuff that you buy, it ends up being a little bit easier. I'm gonna flux both sides of this right now. All right, now that we have our fitting, I'm gonna get this test fit. I always wanna make sure and get this test fit before you get the torch out to make sure it's gonna fit. All right, guys, now we're gonna get the torch out. Let's talk some safety real quick about this. If this is right up against a wall surface, like a 2x4 or something like that, first off, you can get it wet and keep that nice and damp, and then slide up one of the fireproof things you can get at any home center, and you can put that up there. So that way you don't catch a fire here, because you're with sawdust and everything else in a crawl space. Be really careful with this, because this could get out of hand and that could go badly. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna get this lit up. Get that going. And then I've got my solder right here, and this is for plumbing, so it's lead free, which means we're not putting that into our water supply, which is important as well. So make sure you don't get the electronic stuff. Use the stuff for plumbing. And then I'm gonna heat this up. Don't get it too hot, because then it's gonna be another issue. As soon as it starts to bubble like that, I'll kind of hit this and see. And there we have a leak-proof joint. This is going to be the most reliable way to fix this, and you didn't have to call a plumber. This is something I know you can do, and it's a project that you should be able to tackle yourself.